body. So I'm standing in the middle of the Monterey node, and I've just doused it, and there's a 50 paces wide Emperor Dragon line that runs east and west across this field. Let's see. Let's see. There's a tree right there. The Monterey Peninsula is this way. And this is inland about 10 miles from the peninsula. Probably less than that. And then this way, let's see. This Emperor Dragon line runs all the way to Newport News, Virginia, straight east from here. And 50 miles this way is the southerly of the Emperor Dragon pair, and the node that I was at on Monday. I climbed the mountain next to the archaeological sites I discovered in 1993, 94. And yeah, on Monday I left about 1 o'clock and walked to the top of the mountain, and then I camped out there until about 11:30 at night, watching the sunset and the stars come out and just riding the planet. It was magnificent. And then I hiked down all in one day. I have to say I'm definitely feeling it. Have been drinking a lot of emergency since. So here we are in the node. I was here yesterday with Chad Venture, who's a native here, and I kind of call him the steward of this one because he's the first one that activated it. A couple of months ago, I sent him the maps that Rory had defined, remote doused, and found that there's a node here, and this is the first node on the west coast on the northerly of the Emperor Dragon pair, and we're calling this pair, of the 6 pairs on the Earth, we're calling this one the Jade pair, and because we've discovered the first one that comes up out of Jade Cove in Big Sur. And so this distance of 50 miles between the northerly and the southerly is what I call the sacred corridor, and it goes pretty much straight across America, and wherever it hits all the previous nodes, it makes them more powerful. And so what is so cool about this is, one, this is a huge meadow. I don't know who owns it, or they run cattle, I can see. What's really cool about this is that in the coming centuries, on the solstices and equinoxes, people will be making pilgrimages to places like this to make their prayer of manifestation, because whether you can see it or not, you can douse it and see it. There's an energetic structure here at where these ley lines cross. There's 3 ley lines that cross right here. They crossed before, 2 of them crossed here before the Emperor Dragon showed up 3 years ago, and in 2019. But imagine all across America, there are all these nodes along these Emperor Dragons, and they're going to be more powerfully energized. And what happens in the node during what we call the period of harmony, where all the ley lines on the planet are resonating at the same frequency. And just in the past couple of years, they've all started to resonate at the frequency of the Emperor Dragons, which is 48 hours. So 1 vibration over 48 hours. So what that means is that as the dragon or the serpent, it undulates, right? Over 48 hours, it moves from left to right and from right to left, to 24 hours from left to right, and then 24 hours right to left, in this undulating motion all around the planet. And so all the smaller ley lines, even these I think they're either 10 or 20 pace wide lines that cross here. They would normally be resonating at a frequency between 6 and 10 hours. So that means, 3 hours one side and 3 hours to move back, or 5 hours to one side and then 5 hours back in one vibration. They slow down to match the frequency of the emperor dragons. All of the ley lines on the planet do that, and they started on the 17th. They started about 3 days before the solstice or the equinox. And then they remain in harmony. They remain resonating at the same frequency for the past couple of years, up to about 6 days, and perhaps even longer if there's human interaction with the node. And what happens at the node itself is a vortex of energy is created. And this vortex, like if there's two emperor dragons crossing, of which there are only 20 places on the planet where that happens, and only a handful of them, not all of them are on land. There's what's known as a double tube torus, which is basically two bagels sitting on top of one another. So where one bagel is sitting on the surface of the earth and one is beneath the earth, and they're moving, they're rotating, they're spiraling into the center and spiraling out to the edge and spiraling into the center and creating a vortex of energy. And these, I happen to be having defined and dowsed this. I found the center of this, and I saw you were looking, Chad. So I don't know if you can see. There is that tree. There it is. There's the tree. You can see we're about maybe 50 yards from the lone tree in the middle of this meadow. And so if you walk about 50 paces due east of that tree, you're going to come into the center of the node. There's so much to say about all this. So what's the purpose? What does this mean? Okay, so traditionally, all references to the serpent or the dragon in ancient literature and scriptures and whatnot are talking about the Earth's naturally occurring subtle energy grid. And this is what we're dealing with here, the subtle energy grid of the Earth. Everything in existence is subtle energy. Our thoughts affect the grid. It's possible for us to move these lines with our thoughts. I'm not planning to move anything. I'm new to this, but I'm just giving you an idea, and these of what's possible. And at the same time, you have to understand these lines are attracted to humans, right? They're conscious, right? One of the things that they love, children. They love to be around kids, and so it's interesting. Chad was telling me that's a school right there. It's a playground right there for kids. There's a node in Southern California in Santa Clarita, and it nodes right in the playground of the playing grounds of the high school. So it's a natural thing that we are interacting with these, and that they respond and react to our thoughts, feelings, emotions, and everything. And so when we come into the node, we're stepping into a vortex, an energetic vortex. The character of this energetic vortex is that it, in theory, the veil becomes thin in the vortex between all the subtle energy realms, all the parallel dimensions. the astral, the etheric, the astral, and the causal planes become more easily accessible. So yes, this is the best place to make your prayer of manifestation. It's your because things manifest on the causal plane first, then the astral plane, then the etheric plane before they manifest on the physical plane. When you invoke things from the causal plane into the material plane, right? That's how they come to be. That's how things come into being, whether we're paying attention to that process or not. So the purpose of coming into the node, sitting or standing, just being in a place of peace, bringing yourself to peace, bringing yourself to a place of compassion for self, compassion for its own sake, compassion for the world, compassion for the source of the universe. Just delve as deep as you possibly can into the concept of compassion, understanding, forgiveness, and most importantly, gratitude, right? So when we're in that place of gratitude, then envision the thing that you want to manifest, right? But the way that you envision it is you begin to feel in your body, in your psyche, what it would feel like if that thing you're hoping to manifest is already happening in your life, right? Imagine that you've already received it and you're receiving the benefits of having that thing already manifested in your life, right? And delve as deep as you can into the gratitude of that thing that you're trying to draw into manifestation. Feel the gratitude of having received that, of that benefiting you and all life, right? Because it's not going to manifest if it doesn't benefit all. It can't. That's another thing. That people try to do stuff that's, it may not. If it doesn't manifest, it's because it's not good for you, right? Your higher self is saying, no, this is not. This in the long run. If you look at the whole universe as an equation, and it all boils down to, what serves the highest good. If what you're asking for does not serve the highest good, it's not going to happen, right? Your higher self, it's not going to give you something that's going to be to your detriment. Ultimately, it's only going to give to you that which is beneficial to you. There's two hawks. Hawk medicine is the messenger of change. The two hawks flying in circling together, flying in harmony. Kind of get me right there. So, let's see. I'm trying to stay out of the sunlight here. Just want to say how grateful I am to my friend Rory for sending us this information. He sent me a map of this about 6 months ago, and I was able to forward it on to Chad. And it's really wonderful to have made it to both nodes, the first nodes on the west coast of the Emperor Dragon pair. And I have a vision that of doing an expedition going east all the way across the country. And I don't know how that's going to fully manifest, but one of the things that's been coming to me is these, I see people traveling this sacred corridor with powered paragliders coast to coast as a thing, kind of like a rally, right? And I envision over the centuries to come that the population will kind of make this pilgrimage to all these nodes all the way across the country, 4 times a year. And I will be back here for September for the equinox, and yeah, I'm just to check it all. And what I'm going to do next is there's a couple of nodes that are north of here. They're not connected. They're not on the obviously on the Emperor Dragon, but there's a node in Golden Gate Park, on an island in Golden Gate Park. I'm going to go check that out, hopefully today. And there's another major node that is, I'm pointing at it, Mount Diablo, just east of the bay. Gonna try to swing by there. Now the next node east of here, the next major node east of here, is on the other side of the Central Valley, on the other side of the Sierras, and there's a hot spring. I think it's called Coag Hot Spring, Keough Hot Spring, and it's between the hot spring and Highway 395, and that's an even more powerful node than this one, because there's like, I think there's 5 lines that cross there. One of which is this Emperor Dragon, the northerly of the pair. So, yeah. It was funny. I came here with Chad yesterday. We sat in meditation at the lone tree over there, and then I stood on my head, and I was pretty wiped because I had been up the night before. I didn't get back to my car until like 1:30 in the morning, and then it took me a while to wind down and replenish and everything, so I didn't get to sleep until like 4. So I was pretty wiped when I came up here, and I was like, I need to get a bath and soak my legs and get a good night's sleep, a good 8 hours, to replenish and honor the vessel, because I have a feeling, given recent events, that I may be around a while, and I feel like there's like a rejuvenation process that's going on with me right now. It's like I feel younger. I feel like my body is about what it was in my early 20s, and it just seems to be getting more so over the past couple of months, I don't know what 62 is supposed to be like for other people, but for me, it's like, wow, So I recharged in a motel room, and something said I needed to come back here today and shoot this video and kind of give people an update, a reality check on the reality of the Emperor Dragon pair that's running across America, and make it a bit more tangible, right? So I also kind of want to give an accounting. Everyone that's donated to my cause since I got diagnosed with squamous cell carcinoma in September, I just wanted to let you know what I did with the money that you donated, what I've done with it, and so I want to give an accounting, and so here it goes. Hi. So I saved up as much of what was donated to invest in my continued existence. And the first thing, let's see, initially for the first couple of months I counted on GoFundMe not GoFundMe, what I was saying, on people donating to my PayPal account. And I probably got about $1,500 donated over the past couple of months. I mean, through this past 9 months. And then at the same time, I started the GoFundMe probably about November, I think. And I put out there that I was trying to raise $25,000 because I figured that would kind of cover everything. A place to live while I was going through the treatment, transportation, some sort of new transportation, and my eating and nutritional requirements. And we raised, I think, in the GoFundMe, we raised about $11,000 so far. And what my expenses, I probably spent about $3,000 on supplements, right? Vitamins and all the stuff I needed to build up my immune system before beginning treatment. And as we can, you can tell that it was very effective, a tremendous investment. And there were some folks the folks that donated to the PayPal initially, that's what I used that money for. And that's what got me able to, start right away with like mushrooms and, like all these different types of mushrooms, turkey tail and whatnot. And because mushrooms are not cheap, let me tell you. But it was wonderful. This brother donated $500 and he said, go buy yourself some mushrooms, And I went out that day and I bought a couple $100 worth of mushrooms. All these different mushrooms that other cancer survivors had been telling me about were really good for me. And so I was able to do that without worrying. And what all this money has been able to do is to give me peace of mind so I could just focus on what's up. My monthly overhead is around $450. I've got 2 storage units, East and West Coast, and my phone bill, which is, and my car insurance and all that. Works out to be about $450. In November, I was awarded disability, which was about $850 a month. But it didn't show up until February. So I was still relying on the PayPal and beginning to get donations from the GoFundMe. And so I spent $3,000 on all the supplements and vitamins and all these different protocols, the vitamin C, 10,000 milligrams a day of vitamin C and everything. And then I spent, when I started treatment, it became obvious that I needed to, actually in November, it became obvious that I needed to move out of the bus because of the black mold. And Rita Obermeyer offered me a room in her house in the Venice Canals. And I was able, once the GoFundMe money started to come in, I was able to give her $500 a month for rent. And so from, I would say January on, from January to February, January to May, it was $2,500 worth of rent. And I used the money from the government to pay my overhead, my $450 a month overhead, and the rest I used for food. And my diet has been really, it's had to be, there was a while there leading up to the treatment in February where I was I was having to eat a lot of high-fat diet, a lot of fatty meat, kind of a keto variation on the keto diet, and so pot roasts and that kind of thing, and that was kind of expensive. But it was wonderful to be able to eat and not have to worry about what it costs. You just walk in there and say, "This is what I need," and I'm in gratitude, just singing praises here. So, what else? So all the while, I was also, saving up and researching for the van. I gave the van back that I had, the Volkswagen bus that had the black mold. I gave it back to the brother that loaned it to me, and I gave him. He needed to fix the van because it was running on only 4 cylinders of 6, and I gave him $1,500. I initially loaned it to him, and then I was like, just give it to him. I don't want him to stress about having to give it back to me. And he was kind enough to give me the use of the van for 4 years. So I just gave him the $1,500 so that he could fix it up and sell it. And what else? Yeah, so I saved as much as I could. I'm really lucky to have gone through all of this with the resources that I needed. And part of this accounting is recognizing that what I just went through over the past 9 months was all, it was throat chakra, right? Throat cancer and squamous cell carcinoma of the tonsil. And what that meant was, these 3 lymph nodes were huge, as big as, at one point, were as big as a jumbo egg. And there was a thumb-size tumor in the back of my mouth. And just to get my attention, which it succeeded. And so what is the throat chakra all about? It's about wealth. Because it's about your relationship with the source of all wealth, right? It's about trusting in the truth of your relationship with the source. And it's the Word made manifest. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. In the beginning was the vibration, right? And the vibration was with God, and the vibration was God, right? And so one of the things that all of this is pointing to is how everything is subtle energy, and the sensitivity that I've come to experience through all of this. Part of it has to do with my healing my sense of whether or not I belong here and what I belong here to do. And let me unpack that for you. I do recognize that I do belong here. Yet the culture has been constantly challenging me ever since I was conscious at 4, with messages that I don't belong, and largely because of the color of my skin. And one of the things that through all of this most recent stuff that's going on in the culture, one of the things I've come to realize is that, come to address, I guess, is this thing about how people of color like myself have learned at an early age to filter ourselves, especially in the company of others, as a survival strategy. And unfortunately, that survival strategy eventually becomes who we think we are. And what I've been rediscovering, and why I've been kind of keeping my own solitude through the past couple of months since I left Venice, is, you know, who am I when I'm not trying to filter myself, right? Who am I really, and what am I here to do? What is my purpose? And I think that's what all the COVID quarantine has caused the whole world to do, is to come into this place of self-reflection, of why are we here? Why am I here? Why did I choose to be born? You know, what is my chosen earthly mission? And what am I to do to fulfill that mission at this time and going forward, right? So that's what I'm about right now, is acting on my marching orders, you know, acting on the things that have been revealed to me in my shamanic journey that will continue from here. And this is why I've, you know, spent that time on the mountain the other day, and this is why I'm standing here right now. You know, all of this is part of the shamanic journey for me. And, you know, life is a shamanic journey for all of us, whether we choose to be aware of that or not. And we can ignore it to our detriment, but for some of us, ignoring our shamanic journey is our shamanic journey. You know, it just so happens that mine is to not ignore it. My shamanic journey is to be as lucidly aware as I possibly can be at all times, because I know that I'm here to deliver information like this. You know, this is what I choose. One of the things that came forward in my time on the mountain on Monday, Moon Day, was that I, no matter what it looks like or has looked like to whoever I've known in this lifetime, my priority has always been to do good. I have made myself into a pretzel to do good in this life, and it you know, I've paid a price for that, so this is me going forward, right? From here now I go forward knowing that I have this tendency to try to pretzelize myself to make sure that I do good. One of the things I couldn't do in this, while I was going through this, is there were a lot of relationships that I just couldn't put energy into because I didn't have the energy. I couldn't take phone calls and that kind of thing at the time because I was fetal. Having a hard time holding on to the moment, you know. And it brought me to reassess a lot of my relationships and what I was bringing to it. And there are times when I have the energy and I can answer the phone, and there are times when I'm not available. You know, I need to remain present in what it is that I'm feeling called to do, because I recognize that this path is a sacred one, that my life is a sacred one. So one of the things that happened when I was up on the mountain the other day, when I first discovered that mountain, 26 years ago, I think, 26 years ago, I had this amazing day up there, and it seemed like everything was mating, and I stood on my head, I did my meditation and everything, and there were these two stink bugs kind of walking around in front of my feet. One was big and one was small, and they were looking around, and then finally they came together and they mated right in front of me, like literally right in front of me, right? And they mate the same way we do, right? The little one is the male, and he gets on top and he's going away, and they mated, and I just we all were there for like 15 minutes. I'm just watching this whole thing, right? And then they parted, right? It was what a blessing. And right then I heard there were these two hawks that were were courting one another, and then there were I mean, it was an amazing experience. Okay, so the other this is right next to the I don't know if you can see that plane taking off. Right over there, beyond those trees, is the airport in as a landmark for anybody that's trying to find this spot. It says private land. It says no trespassing or anything like that, but we're doing it. But at some point, if you happen to be here and somebody comes out and asks you about what you're doing here, tell them what's going on here, that it's been discovered that there was, before anybody came along that said they owned anything, this node is here, right? And this node, the Emperor Dragon is caused by a cosmic radiation coming from a galactic core in our galactic neighborhood. That's what's causing this line right here, and the other two are caused by the sun. So it's an ancient thing. It's it's been around before there were people. So the other day when I was in my meditation up on the mountain, the biggest stink bug I've ever seen in my life had to be a female, right? So I call her grandmother stink bug, right? And she comes and she stands right in front of me, right? And I was just blown away, because she's walking along, and then she stops and she turns and she faces me, and I'm like, okay, thank you. I was in such gratitude. And then I noticed as she walked, the way that she walked. The way that she walked was like she was making love with everything, right? And I was thinking, what a way to walk through the world, where you're literally making love with everything, in terms of just appreciation, just gratitude. So thank you, Grandmother Stinkbug. So I feel once again that I'm certainly in doing my best to be in gratitude about everything that's transpired. And I feel, I've said this before, that the shamanic journey is really the journey of self-initiation. And the word initiation means beginning. And associated with beginning is renewal and rejuvenation. And I definitely feel like, that's what's transpiring right now, not just for me, but for everyone. Yesterday, when I arrived in Big Sur on last Thursday night, I found out the next morning that the road was closed on the mountain. You couldn't get up there. I couldn't go up there because the Forest Service had it closed because it had been a fire the day before I got there. And when it was all, they opened the road on Sunday, and on Monday I hiked up to the top, and sure enough, I'll try to post some more photographs. If you look at the last, I posted some really brief live videos. I tried to do some live videos from the top, but the reception up there is really spotty. So there were 3 of them that I shot, and they're only, they're less than a minute long. But you can see that everywhere around both the Celestial Observatory archaeological site that I discovered, 26 years ago, and the Jade Node is completely burned, right? First thing I did is I climbed up all up into the Celestial Observatory, and the bushes is still there, but they were burned at the root, and But you know, the stones were unscathed, thank goodness, and the berms around it are fine. You know, it's natural renewal, but when you go up to the top, when I was, you know, you'll see the photographs of me standing in the node. You know, it's for, you know, in some places more than a quarter mile all the way around is all burned, you know, and but it's part of the natural life cycle there. It's just so weird that it's those those two sacred sites are literally toasted, and the rest of the mountain is normal. You know, it looks like this. It looks like, you know, the beginning of summer. And what's left there in that blackness are plants that are, you know, sculptural is all I just sat there just marveling at. It's like, it reminds me very much of the desert, how it just all looks very fragile now. And the life that you see in the desert, you know, like here's a little something and there's a little something, and I don't know, it's like one of those Chinese garden or Japanese gardens, you know, where they rake the sand and everything. It's beautiful and powerful. It's even more powerful now that it's toasted. So I look forward to seeing how it comes back over the next by September, and then again in January at the solstice. So what I also envision is that in the future, all these nodes along everywhere, all the major nodes will have stewards, you know, like Chad is who I'm calling the steward here because he's from here, right? I have a friend that's in Quinnon that lives right across the street from Golden Gate Park, and she has been holding the vigil there for the past couple of days in that node on the island in Golden Gate Park. There's another gentleman that's agreed to steward the node on Mount Diablo, you know. So in the future, all of these will be, you know, eventually pilgrimage sites, and they will have stewardship. Because once again, I mean, the node is the node, but it's even more powerful with human interaction. And you know, I envision that in the coming centuries, that humanity will just become more and more sensitive to subtle energy. That's our future, whether we're aware of it or not right now. So it's very exciting. We live in exciting times, whether we want to or not, whether we want to admit that or not, I should say. We've all agreed to be here for this. So I think that's it for now. I mean, I could just go on. I just want to keep, you know, sharing information as much as I can. I should probably wrap it up. Now, let me think if there's anything else. Just take a moment. Let's do a 360. So, you know, the thing that gets me is that there's always something else. As soon as I hang up, I think, oh man, I should have said that. And that will have to be for tomorrow or the next day. Oh yeah. So there's something really cool that's about to happen. John Riley's son, who was wrestling with Crohn's disease at the same time that I was wrestling with what I was dealing with this winter, is about to build a computer and we're going to live stream him building this computer, because this is a very special computer. This computer is going to be plugged into the wall, and will host a live streaming channel. And all of my content will be on there, and I'm hoping to promote other people's work on there as well. And so the first official broadcast for that will be his building of the computer, and then plugging it in and uploading our content. So that'll probably be after, I think, the 7th of July, because he said he'd ordered all the parts, and one of the motherboard was the wrong one, and they have it on back order, and it won't get here until July 7th. So sometime after that is when we'll do the official launch of the live streaming channel. Between now and then, I'm gonna do my best to try to do more live streams and have it become a thing. So I get to talk myself out every day, or not every day, but when I'm in reception and it seems I've got something to say. So for now, let's do the do, shall we? My favorite part, which is because everything is made of subtle energy. This is me beaming love at you. Remember, we love you.